Chapter 12. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This proverb, also popularly known as the Golden Rule, has its origins more than 2,000 years ago from the Bible in the book of Leviticus 19:18. It is, however, a core maxim found in many other religions and cultures. In the New Testament, Jesus mentions it in the Sermon on the Mount. All things whatsoever ye would that men do unto you, do ye even so to them. Matthew 7:12. The basic meaning of this proverb is very simple. Treat your fellow human beings the way you would want them to treat you. The reason it was termed the Golden Rule is that there is a lot of value in having a caring attitude and respect of one's fellow citizens. You need others not only to survive, but also to prosper in life. Looking back in history to the time when our forefathers lived thousands of years ago, belonging to a tribe was not only important to maintain a social life and prosper, but it was outright indispensable if you wanted to stay alive. Anyone who tried to go it alone was faced with the danger of death, either through wild animals, enemy tribes, or hunger. Strength in numbers was impossible to ignore if you wanted to live a normal life, or if you wanted to survive at all. Fast forward thousands of years later to our time, and the conditions may have changed, but we are still social beings who need each other, just as our forefathers did. Even if you were to claim to be a loner and antisocial, if someone tried to break into your house, you would call the police. In case of sickness, you may have to go to the hospital and be treated by doctors and nurses. To handle your garbage, you need the people who work at the garbage collection unit of your city or town. If your country were to be attacked, you would need your army to defend the country. If they didn't, your chances of living a peaceful and prosperous life would be highly diminished. Man, said Aristotle, is by nature a social animal. We are social animals. We need each other, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. The way we go about it might be different from the way our forefathers did, but the goal is the same. I know some may want to disagree with this statement by boldly claiming that all they have in life they achieved single-handedly. The term self-made millionaire is very popular. I do not intend to devalue the amount of self-sacrifice needed in order to succeed in any area of your life. Many have achieved tremendous success by putting in a lot of effort and burning the midnight oil. However, if we look at our lives soberly and honestly, we will realize it is very difficult to make progress without the help of a fellow human being. Yes, you may have a splendid idea, but in the implementation of it, you will need a fellow human being at one point or another. In fact, most of the things we take for granted in our daily lives would not be possible without the involvement of other people. Let's take a look at two household products that are found in most average households in the world: paper and furniture. If we were to create these products by ourselves, it would be impossible for most people. Assume that most of the wood used to make paper and furniture in your home country comes from the Amazon forest. If you were not from South America, you would have to swim across the Atlantic Ocean, a feat that I dare say is impossible, to get to the Amazon forest, probably with an axe or chainsaw. Once there, you would have to cut down the right kind of tree for these products, and then make wood and paper out of that without the help of specialists. On top of that, you would have to swim back home again, carrying with you either the products or the tree that you cut down. I hope you can tell while reading this that there are so many people involved in ensuring that these products you buy reach you at all. There are people involved in planting trees, then others in cutting. After that, employees of a transportation company transport the trees to the port, from where a ship's captain makes sure that the transportation through the ocean goes smoothly. Fellow humans are also involved in picking them up from the port to the factories where they are processed, and so on. You realize here just how improbable the word self-made is. Of course, in the end, you pay for it with your own money, but without all those other hard-working men and women who made sure the product was delivered, you would not be able to acquire it. Without a doubt also, the process of accumulating wealth or succeeding in any area requires cooperation with others at one time or the other. In fact, experts agree that entrepreneurial success is 20% head knowledge and 80% social skills, which simply means that you can have a lot of knowledge, but if you are not able to deal with people well, your chances of success is limited. John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in the world during his lifetime, once said that excellent social skills are as good a commodity as sugar and cotton, and he was ready to pay anyone well who possessed these skills. Steel magnate Andrew Carnegie, who was the richest man in the world in the early 19th century, told the story of having to fire an excellent chemist he had hired from Germany. Although he was a great expert and had a lot of knowledge, he just could not get along with his colleagues, and this caused a lot of disharmony in the company. In the end, this affected morale and hence performance. Andrew Carnegie was very successful in part because he understood the importance of a spirit of harmony and unity within his workforce. We need each other to live and prosper. Let's look at the success story of one of the most successful entrepreneurs ever, Steve Jobs. His name is synonymous with Apple computers, the iPad, iPhone, and iPod. Most people believe he invented the first Apple product and engineered these other products personally because he was the public face of the company. Steve Jobs was undoubtedly a brilliant mind and an excellent salesman, without whom Apple would not have reached the heights it did. Under his leadership, Apple was at one time the most valuable company in the world. There is absolutely no question about his marvelous achievements, but did he do that single-handedly? No. Steve Jobs' partner from the very beginning was a man by the name of Steve Wozniak. In 1976, Wozniak and Jobs co-founded Apple. Steve Wozniak sold his valuable calculator and Steve Jobs his van in order to inject capital into their venture. So, from the outset, cooperation between two people was necessary to start this now world-famous company. Yes, Steve Jobs was an amazing entrepreneur, but he needed Steve Wozniak's cooperation and expertise in order to be successful in starting and growing the company. That growth first required a harmonic and respectful interaction between them. It would not otherwise have worked. In fact, since Steve Wozniak was the technical genius of the two, he was the one who designed and built the first Apple personal computer. Their strength was in their interdependency. They certainly excelled as individuals in certain areas, but it was their strong synergy they developed while working together that propelled them to the heights of wealth and renown, and changed the way we communicate in the world today. Whereas Steve Jobs was the marketing genius, and hence the public face of Apple, the reason his name is more associated with the success of the company. Steve Wozniak was the technical wizard without whom the products would have not been delivered with the quality that they had. If either of them had treated the other disrespectfully, it goes without saying that this great cooperation would not have been possible. This is the power of this proverb and why it's called the Golden Rule. Men and women can multiply their achievements in any field, working in a spirit of harmony and mutual respect with others, rather than working alone. Every business owner knows that in order to retain clients, they need to treat them with honesty and respect. Businesses earn money by providing solutions to their clients. A harmonic relationship with the clients is indispensable. It is the only way they will keep coming back to exchange their money for your services. If they perceive you to be dishonest or disrespectful, they will opt for other companies, and you will lose your clients, and with them, the source of your income, no matter how great your products or services may be. It is no wonder that the most successful companies in the world invest a lot of money in educating their staff on how to deal with clients. There can be no business without clients, period. People will go where they feel appreciated and respected. Employees and distributors are some of the greatest assets for any company. If you have people working for you, it is paramount to treat and pay them well, because to achieve your goals, you need their cooperation. Yes, you may be the genius who started the company, but in order to scale it and achieve great success, you will need your workforce. It goes without saying, of course, that you have to expect a certain quality and performance from them. But by treating them with respect, you are more likely to achieve that. Studies show that if employees are treated with respect and feel appreciated, they will be more diligent in completing their task and are actually happy to come to work. The same applies to your relationship with your distributors. If, for example, you persistently fail to pay them on time, which can also be perceived as a sign of disrespect because they also have bills to pay, the relationship will end up being strained and the supply chain might not run smoothly. What we put out there always comes back sooner or later in one form or another. Another common saying that has the same meaning is, what goes around, comes around. In other words, if you want people to respect you, treat them with respect. People will not give you their trust and respect because you want it, but because you have earned it. Love and respect yourself first. I know some may read the previous paragraph and say, wait a minute, I treated this person with respect, but his response was hostile and disrespectful. I've given my all to show him love and respect, but he's always mean. Treating someone with respect does not mean that you accept his or her lack of respect or mean treatment towards you. Some people make the mistake of thinking humility and respect towards others always means turning the other cheek. This type of false humility is sometimes taught in religious circles as a sign of doing what God wants you to do. There are also cases all over the world of women who are married to men who are physically abusive. In some cultures, the woman is expected to endure this kind of treatment because the man is considered the head of the house, and therefore the woman has to submit to his excesses no matter what. Those with religious backgrounds are in an even stronger dilemma, because some of these behaviors are condoned by religious elders, and the woman feels trapped, fearing to go against what she is told is God's will. To let someone disrespect or mistreat you for a long time without resistance is not a sign of humility, but rather, in some cases, a sign of a deep subconscious lack of self-respect. A healthy relationship, be it love, friendship, or business, is one that is interdependent and not dependent. In other words, if there is no win-win situation, that relationship is unhealthy, and one would do oneself a lot good by staying away from such people. If you are in a spirit of harmony and show respect to another person who never reciprocates, but rather takes advantage of that to manipulate you, put a stop to it. Psychologists agree that if you do not respect yourself, it is most likely other people will not respect you. People tend to respect someone who respects themselves and has clear boundaries. I can relate to this because for several years in my life as a youth, I thought that showering disrespectful people with love was somehow going to change them. I believed that humility was equal to taking it all in, no matter what the other person did or said. I was in essence completely denying myself. In hindsight, I know that I picked this habit up subconsciously from my family background. Now I know better. Of course, there are people in your life that you cannot completely avoid, for example, your family members. If the person constantly disrespecting you and hence draining your energy out of you is your brother, sister, or mother, you can keep on loving them, but let them know that their behavior is disrespectful and keep your interactions with them to a minimum. Human emotional needs. People all over the world have the same emotional needs, irrespective of their culture, background, posture, and financial status. Different people may focus on different emotional needs, but all human needs are basically the same. One of the universal emotional needs is significance. Every human being on this planet has the need for significance, and may be stronger in some of us, like the narcissists and egocentrics, but it is in all of us. If anyone claims that the need for significance does not apply to them, they are not being honest. We all want to feel significant, whether we are rich or poor, black or white, big or small, young or old. It therefore goes without saying that one of the best ways to treat a fellow human being is to honestly convey to them that they are significant. The key word here is honestly. Do not convey significance as a technique of winning over someone, but rather do so with genuine authenticity of heart. One of the ways you can do this is by memorizing the names of the people you meet and calling them by name the next time you meet them, or referring to their name while talking to them. This is important for two reasons. Remembering someone's name makes them feel important. It makes them think you felt they were important enough for you to take the effort of memorizing their name. On the other hand, if every time they met you and you popped the question, "What was your name again?" they would feel they are not important to you and that you don't take them seriously. The second reason is pride. I am not referring to an excessive ego, but rather a healthy dose of personal pride. If someone remembers your name and speaks it out correctly, you feel acknowledged, accepted, and validated, and your interaction with that person is congenial because you feel respected. If someone mispronounces your name, makes fun of it, or even worse, calls you the wrong name, You may feel most likely not happy about it. You will also feel that you are not taken seriously. When interacting with people that you do not know in an official capacity who have a title such as doctor or professor, it is advisable to mention these titles before their names. This is because these titles have become part of their names and hence their identity. Of course, if it's a personal friend who does not want you to mention the title, you can ignore it. Otherwise, it should be mentioned but honestly, and not as a tactic to win them over. Another way of showing others that they are significant is paying attention to what they say or their needs. This does not mean that you will always agree with their opinion or whatever it is they are telling you, but the mere fact that you are listening to them sincerely makes them feel significant. I've come across a lot of people who ask me, "How are you?" without really meaning it, but rather as a habitual expression. If someone asks this question and you realize they don't really want to know how you are doing, you may end up questioning their sincerity and whether they really care about you. If you ask this question, ask it sincerely and take the time to listen intentionally to what the person you ask will tell you. Letting someone talk about themselves and giving them the feeling that you are really listening makes them feel that you sincerely care. This in turn creates a harmonious relationship between you two. The goal should be to listen not with the intent of replying, but rather with the intent of understanding. Do not interrupt unnecessarily. Give the person talking to you time to say what they want to say. Constantly interrupting and not listening carefully erodes trust and gives your conversation partner a feeling that they are not significant. You would feel the same if someone was interrupting you in the same way, so do not do it to others. Imagine a situation where you go to a shoe store to buy yourself a new pair of shoes. You look around and then find a pair that you like, but the size does not fit. You then ask the store manager whether they have the same shoes with your size. The store manager then says they don't have them in your size, but shows you another pair of shoes that he likes and believes would look good on you. The problem is you don't like the pair he's recommending. You then mention that you don't like them and don't mind coming back another day if they can get the shoes of your choice in your size. The manager does not listen to you and instead keeps on urging you to get the other shoes that he thinks are good on you. How would you feel? I personally would feel like he doesn't care about what I want and simply wants to sell me a product of his choice. The probability that I will go back to the store is very low. Backstabbing. If you want to maintain the loyalty of someone in their presence, be loyal to them in their absence. The habit of being nice to people when you face them, but then speaking ill of them in their absence, is very toxic to interpersonal relationship. I once worked for a company where the head of my department was always smiling and very friendly, or so I thought. Every time I met her, she seemed happy to see me and would always ask how I was doing. I thought to myself, wow, such a nice person. I later came to find out that she was not as nice as she appeared to be. The boss of the company once called me for a meeting at which she was also present. He mentioned that he was going to give me a major contract to train over 100 colleagues on how to edit films on a certain film production software. The meeting was very harmonious, and my department head mentioned that she was very happy for me and even told the company boss I was the right person for the job. What I didn't know was that she had talked to the company boss previously and tried to suggest that a different external trainer should be given the contract, to which the boss said no. Anyway, we had the meeting and we agreed on the formalities and the amount I was going to get as payment. She was not happy about it, but did not mention it at that moment. In fact, she told me she was very happy about the agreement. About a week later, I was sitting with some of my colleagues in our leisure room, and one of them said, "We heard that you are going to make a lot of money training us." It did not stop at that. He actually told me the exact amount I was going to be paid. I asked him where he got the information from, but he declined to tell me. The only thing he said concerning that is that almost everyone knew about it. It did not take long for me to figure out who was responsible for leaking this information. The company boss clearly told me that he was not responsible for the leak and that he was very furious it happened. Since only 3 persons were at the meeting, it was easy to conclude who did it. I approached her and she admitted she did it. You can imagine that the trust level, as far as I was concerned, went south. When you trash talk people behind their backs, you may think you are harming them, but you are actually harming yourself. When people realize that you like backstabbing others, they will be very careful about opening up to you, out of the fear that what they divulge to you in confidentiality might end up being laid bare in the open behind their backs. As the proverb clearly says, do unto others what you would want them to do to you. Interpersonal relationships involve a mutual giving and taking in sincerity and goodwill. Samuel Milton, the mayor of Toledo, Ohio, from 1894 to 1904, believed deeply in the Golden Rule and summarized it once with this statement: "What I want for myself, I want for everybody." Implementing the wisdom in this proverb could reduce crime rates, a lot of the tension in interpersonal relationships, and the society at large. When you are about to talk about someone or treat him or her in a certain way, pause and ask yourself if you would want someone to treat you the same way.